wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Absolutely.
Ava DuVernay, welcome back.
Thank you. Always happy to be here.
And she came in immediately and started directing, telling us where we need to have cameras, telling Nick what side he needs to be on.
That's right.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help.
I love it. Is that something you do everywhere you go? Like you just...
It's unfortunate. It's my job.
Yeah.
I was at a concert, Adele concert. Adele has the special that's going to be on TV soon, and I was at the concert, and all I was doing sitting there was like, these cameras are in the wrong position. I thought, what the hell is wrong with me? Yeah. So.
I mean, it's a gift though, but does it ever like get in the way? Can you ever just enjoy?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. After I determined where the camera should be, then I was able to relax.
And then when you watch a movie, I'm sure you're like, I would have shot this differently.
You know, I don't do it with movies.
Okay.
Yeah,
you can enjoy it.
I can enjoy the movies, yeah, because I love them. I love movies so much.
Well, I told you before, you look as regal as ever.
Oh, that's kind. Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel like I'm moving into a new territory mentally.
Oh, I love to hear that. Tell us more.
I've just been busy, and I'm starting to be able to like clear things off my plate and embrace doing less.
Was it the pandemic? Was it God making us all be still? That kind of...
No, during the pandemic, I think I reacted by making myself very busy.
Ooh.
Like that's how I dealt with it.
Well, how did you work during the pandemic? Because they shut everything down. I know, definitely in L.A.
I wasn't shooting, but I was writing and pitching and selling, and so I sold 8 shows, and I had to make those shows this year.
So you were working.
I was really, really working.
So
and
when oh wow! So
I filled up the time where I could have just been silent and still, but I didn't. I made more noise for myself.
So you said clearing off the plate, because I'm like, you have a million things going on.
I do.
I don't even see. So you did your first unscripted show.
I did.
Home Sweet Home.
I did. That was so hard.
It was kind of like, because the description of it when I first was sung, I was like, this is interesting, because I used to love Wife Swap.
Yeah.
But this was a little...
It's like a positive wife swap.
Yeah.
It was a positive. The whole family went, and it wasn't based on... Our show isn't based on conflict. It's more about curiosity. Like, there's no bratty teenager who's throwing shoes and like, I don't want to go. Everybody wants to go, right? And so they want to go exchange and explore. And so that was the idea. I like it. It's a really, really sweet show. But it's a show that you watch on a Friday night with your kids. It's not... There's no, like...
Right.
There's no drama.
I like it. It's a nice, positive show.
It's positive. The drama's steeped in, how do Jewish people live? And what is Shabbat? And why do, Sikhs wear turbans? And what's going on? And, it's like you're learning about each other.
Different cultures.
Cultures.
And then the DC comics.
DC comics, I have 2 of them I'm working on right now.
So now Charlamagne's going to start watching DC.
I will watch...
Are you a Marvel?
No, I'm a Marvel person.
Are you really?
Very, very hardcore Marvel.
When did this happen and how did I not know
Forever,
this?
for life. I got this nasty Wolverine
He
tattoo
said
on my
full
arm.
life and showed a tattoo.
I've had this for years. This is Wolverine. This is a Marvel character. I had this since I was like 17. Like I'm a huge...
Is that right?
Huge Marvel person.
Wow,
and you know what's so
aware.
interesting? I always loved Wolverine, and I realized when I was young, I gravitated towards Wolverine because of his healing powers. Because he had physical healing powers.
Okay.
But now it's like that's what I'm about. Just
getting
to that place of healing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but I will watch a DC anything if you make it.
He did say that during Rumor Report when I announced it. He was like, I guess I have to watch it.
It was the only person who could get me to watch some DC stuff.
Good.
I do like their villain stuff, though. Like, I like the Joker. I like Harley Quinn.
Yeah. You like the Suicide Squad
Suicide
stuff?
Squad was... Nah, not really.
No,
but I like the villain stuff. Like, the Joker and Harley Quinn was good, but I didn't like Suicide Squad too much.
I like the graphic novels that don't have superheroes. So we're doing DMZ, which is all about New York City that's been destroyed by a civil war.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So it's and people have been evacuated from New York City, and there's some people who said I'm not going, like anti-vaxxers, right? They're like, I'm not doing it. I don't care what you say. I'm staying right here, and it's about them and how they build a society with what's left. Would you go if there was an evacuation?
It depends on where we had to go.
You just say yes with no stop.
Or where?
You say it depends on where to go.
Yeah, where are we going?
Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, I live
that's
in Jersey.
easy.
So I'm already there, so I'm good already.
You have to go outside. It's just the island of Manhattan has been evacuated.
That's interesting. I mean,
I can stay in Brooklyn though.
Is that? Yeah, you can stay in Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I just think of Will Smith's movie when everybody had to leave in Manhattan.
Yes.
I don't want to be here by myself, so yeah, I'm out.
I'm thinking of the Bible story. I'm thinking of Sodom and Gomorrah when God told Lot and his family evacuate, essentially, and they had to bounce.
Right.
Yeah. So it depends who told me.
It depends on who told you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting answers. All right.
You guys are
What
like,
would
we
you
go to
do?
the Caribbean. I'm like, all right, I'm out.
Right.
What would Ava do?
Well, on the outside of the on the outside of New York, there's a war going on. So you have to pick sides where you go, right, in this place. So it's like, are you going to go on the MAGA side or are you going to go on the Bernie Sanders side? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm definitely going on the Bernie
And so, you go on the MAGA side?
No, Bernie
Bernie
side.
side.
Okay, I
Bernie
was like,
side.
but what if MAGA side was nicer?
I don't see how that's possible.
I'm just asking questions. I'm
I
not
already
sure.
have a space in my home in case something happens.
Really?
Yeah, like a purge where I can hide.
A perch?
Yeah, in case purge, like the
A
purge
purge?
happens.
Oh, like the purge.
Yeah, I have
Wow,
a space where you won't find me.
This is an interesting question though, because you said something. You said, "What if?"
you have-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Do you have like food in there? And
I
water?
could if it was necessary.
No, I do
I
too.
set it
I do
up.
too. I got canned foods. I got water. Everything. Flashlights, battery, a weapon, all that. Just in case.
What if the Trump side has better resources?
That's what I'm saying.
So would you put on a red hat just to
That's
go
what I'm
undercover?
saying. Those are the questions that the thing asks. You know, if they had more resources, if they had more weapons, if you could pass, if you could find a safer space, like
Ooh.
it's interesting. So that's a little bit about what's up.
In a way, we're kind of doing that now, right? Because if you're in a certain class, you might be living in an area where you're not necessarily welcome,
That's
but it
right.
might be a better area.
That's true.
You know?
The thing that's weird for me is people who try to pass and hide. Like, you know that they are Trumpers, but they're not saying it. Like, you be sitting around a table, and in LA especially, people just talk mess about whatever Trump all the time, assuming that everyone at the table is on the same page. But there's one quiet one that just kind of chuckled, didn't chuckle quite right.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, so you're just hiding in plain sight. They won't just say it.
Could you work with somebody that was vocally a Trump?
I know. I would probably get in trouble if I said no. I can't. I can't. There's people on my sets. We have numerous sets already because we have all these shows, and there are people who don't believe in the vaccine and have different ideology.
You could still be a good person, right?
Yes.
Why the stutter? Why the stutter?
Yes.
Had to think about it?
Yes. I think you can still be a good person and have ideas that of course, and have
It
ideas
depends
that
the reason
disagree with.
why you're a Trump supporter too, though.
Does it?
Yeah, because some people are Trump supporters just
for
because
selfish
of taxes,
purposes.
just because they might do real estate, just because, not because
Okay,
of
Envy.
necessarily what he thinks. I'm not, but
Okay, but if you're a Trump supporter just because of real estate and taxes, then you're still inherently tied to, the bigotry, oppression, and racism, and you're making that choice.
Right. You're saying
So
that's
you're
okay.
still
Some people,
you're
yeah.
saying that's okay. That's the thing. Like, I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody about it, but you have to kind of have a conversation about all of it. Like, are you actually saying January 6th didn't happen? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that January 6th is less egregious than Colin Kaepernick taking a knee?
are they closing
Which
their
one?
eyes?
Or they're closing their eyes to it, and so you're still culpable. I mean, for you still have to be called in the opinion.
What if Trump gave you a pardon while you were in jail?
No, 'cause that
First of
happened.
all, why would Ava DuVernay be
Not
in jail?
you,
That's
but
what
I'm
I
just
would like.
saying.
Right, 'cause Trump
What
gave
if
Kodak
somebody
Black a
gave?
pardon.
Yeah.
He gave a lot of
For the
people
people that
pardons.
he pardoned, and they're like Trump supporters now. Some people can understand, like, well, he didn't want to be in jail, and Trump did give him a pardon.
That's interesting.
But didn't
I don't know.
Did you give one of the people that work with Jay's team a pardon for something and wiped her record clean? Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
but she wasn't in jail. They
What
just
was it? There was a MC who
Kodak Black.
Kodak Black from Florida
And Lil Wayne.
and Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne got pardoned by Trump.
Yeah. He got what was it? He had a felony or something he was facing?
The last gun charge.
What about
Kodak was-
Rihanna's boyfriend?
Rihanna.
ASAP Rocky.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah,
he get
yeah.
pardoned?
Oh, no, I think Trump.
Trump vocally
Did
spoke
something-
out
He
Did
about
something
it,
about him.
but it might not have helped him so much.
Oh,
Get
yeah,
him out of
yeah,
Sweden?
Sweden,
Helped
yeah.
get him out of Sweden, but he was in jail.
Yeah.
In Sweden, yeah.
Jail in Sweden.
Yeah.
That's a nice jail compared to here.
Yeah, I'm sure. So what happens in that case? But where the president that everybody hates gets you out.
For me, I'd still be salty.
Just because somebody does something good for you doesn't mean they're good for you.
Well, would you let someone who's not a good person do something good for you? Would you accept it?
Yes.
It's hard to say when you're not in a
You-
circumstance, too. Some people, we could say, no, I wouldn't. But then, Kodak was getting, like, beat up in jail, and he was
Yeah,
in
of
a hole.
course.
He wanted to get out.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. But they asked the question, like I was just listening to the news this morning, this 96-year-old woman who was a secretary for the commandant in the Holocaust. And she's on trial in Germany right now. The reason why I laugh is because she tried to run. She tried to escape her nursing home.
At 96 years old.
Yes. I was like, wow, you're
Yeah,
about
fine.
it, right? She tried to leave. So she left, and they were looking for her for some days. They found her, and they put her on her trial. So this is a little old lady, right? On trial for crimes. They said she was involved with extermination. I hate that word, but the murder of 11,000 people, 11,000 Jewish people at that time. She's like, look, I was just there. I was the secretary. Like, why are you mad at me? But she's actually on trial right now. The question is, what if that was the little old lady next door who always helped you and gave you baked goods, right? Are you going to change the way that you think about her because she did something nice for you, even though overall she was inherently evil, murdering all those people?
Wow.
It's the same thing with the Trump thing. Like, he did something good for these individual imprisoned people. But do you override the
She still got to
destruction?
pay for it, though. That's
Well,
all.
the secretary's a little different, though, because was she just there doing her job
just
as a
getting my
secretary?
But her
Just
job
got
as a
my check.
secretary is processing the murder of people.
Let's move on to nicer things.
Okay.
Okay.
Not murder, not the genocide.
Goodness gracious. All right. Colin in
Lord,
black and white
good
now.
morning.
Now let's talk about Colin in black and white.
Okay.
Break that down. What is Colin in black and
Oh,
white for people that
look.
don't know?
Is that always there?
It's been there for a
It's
long
been there for a
time.
long time.
Long time.
It's a jacket, denim jacket with.
Colin Kaepernick
Kaepernick's-
on it.
Yeah,
Somebody made that
and gave it to us.
years ago.
And we put it up here.
Oh, that's cool. All right. It's a show. It's a limited series on Netflix. It starts on Friday, and I collaborated with him on it for 3 years. We met at the Time 100 event here in New York. I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, and we did that Hollywood thing. Oh, let's keep in touch. And he actually called and said, "I'm thinking about doing something with my life." I'm like, "Yes, we're gonna do the kneel. I'm gonna have a crane. It's gonna drop down on your knee. It's gonna wrap around the knee. I'm gonna do the best shots on this kneel. I'm gonna make an incredible film. It's gonna lead up. It's gonna have Trump." And he's like, "Yeah, no, I was thinking high school." I was like, I really wasn't sure how to do it. And until he started telling me these stories, which were really interesting. They were small little stories about the little things that happened to him while he was this adopted biracial kid in his white household, of the little things that the microaggressions. And I had never really seen a show about microaggressions, the little things that people say to us that change our mind, our heart, our direction, make us doubt ourselves or just hurt, but we don't talk about because we're told, oh, that's not that bad. Right? And so, so it's about those, but then also using those to springboard us into larger conversations about race, class, respectability, privilege. So I have Jaden Michaels, this brilliant kid who's the actor who plays Colin Young. And then I've got, it breaks out into documentary, into graphics, animation, these little plays, these little vignettes. It's all kinds, it's like a collage of styles. Because people have gone into it and like, is this a doc? What is it going to be? Not quite sure what the tone of it is. But it's a lot of tones put into one. It's different.
What did you learn about Colin through his younger years? Like, we all can tie things back to our childhood. A lot of the ways we act now as adults are because of things that happened to us in our childhood. So what did you learn about him now?
He is very that stick-to-itness that's happening right now on his stance and like, this is my stand and I will not move. You could see in the early life how through this where that starts.
Interesting.
Like, I am pretty solid in myself if I have an idea, but I can be moved. I mean, if you really sat down and had a real conversation with me, like, I'd be like, okay, you're right. Or this might be a little more comfortable, or this might help someone, or this. He is like, this is my thing, and I'm not veering from it in any respect. And so it's
So you see where that whole aspect
you
comes
see
from.
where that came from, because that's a very particular trait, right? To be unmoved, like you state your position and then you don't move on.
I wonder if that comes from being the black adopted child in this white family and knowing that they're just dead wrong about some things sometimes.
I don't know. It might. I think there's some answers to it in the series, and I think also I hope the series has people ask themselves, what are the things that you've learned or that happened to you, the little things. It's part of like what therapy is. But even if people don't kind of excavate this in therapy, just to think about the little things that people have said to you that have changed the way you behave and act. Like for me, when I was 9 years old, this boy said, "Your elbows are darker than the rest of your body." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I guess that's a bad thing, the way that he said it. And so you will rarely see me in a picture where I show my elbow.
Really?
Yeah, even to this day. And I'm aware. Like, I know where that came from, but still, I'm like, oh, just cover them up.
Wow.
You know, and so when you think about all the little things that have been said to you that have changed the way you think about yourself or the way that you move through the world, that's what I was interested in this piece.
Every single thing is connected to childhood trauma. I think so. All your insecurities you have now, your lack of worthiness, whatever it is, I promise you it probably stems to something that was said to you in your childhood by somebody.
Really?
Yes, at least for me.
But everybody doesn't have a traumatic childhood,
That's true.
you know? But I guess there's
But
small
even what you-
traumas, little
yeah.
microaggressions, the little things.
That wasn't necessarily trauma for
That's
you,
true.
but it made you have an insecurity.
I guess it's unkindness or just like the little things that hit you you hit your spirit in a negative way.
This is interesting because with Colin Kaepernick, I feel like so many other people are telling his story and trying to dissect what it is that he's doing, how he grew up, why he feels this way. So you get to hear it from his point of view finally.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he doesn't really do the interview. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't speak. So this is a way that he was expressing himself. And I felt, you know, I was very pleased that he chose me.
Because it has to be hard to hear people talking all this shit about you all the time and you not really responding.
I was at dinner with him the day that Trump was unleashing these crazy tweets, like insane tweets. And so I'm like, it happened maybe 2 or 3 hours before the dinner. So I'm thinking he's going to cancel the dinner because I putting together a war room, something, figuring out his tweets back. I don't know. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be, you know, I would be active. He was at the dinner. I mean, we were just in a hole in the wall eating vegan food. He was chilling. I was like, "You're not riled up?" He's like, "Not really." But he's like a roll off the back kind. I mean, he's into it and focused on it, but it's not ruling his life.
How was he as a narrator explaining his story to you? Was he open? Like, did you have to pry it out of him? Because he seems like a very quiet.
He is. He's interesting. He's unlike anyone I've actually met because but once he starts talking, he'll talk. So when we were developing it, yeah, he was very comfortable, and we were trying to find stories. So it was just like I was asking him a ton of questions, but no, he's talkative.
Now you said one of the most interesting people. Why?
I think he's fascinating to me because he's a puzzle to me still, and I've known him for I guess 4 or 5 years now. I just have never met anybody like him. I'd never met anybody who just won't move off of an idea.
Really?
You know what? That's not true. There was some collaboration where there's a couple times, you know, because we're making this together. So, you know, sometimes he wins, sometimes I'd win. And I always said, he's the tiebreaker because this is about him. So even if I disagree with it, I'm going to do it because this is his story. And that's what I said to the Exonerated Five. You know, that's what I said to, you know, members of the King family with Selma. I was like, the bottom line is, if someone was doing something on your life, you'd want them to interpret it and do their thing. But at the end, you'd want to be able to say, this ain't right, I don't like it. Right? And want that to be respected. And so, yeah, the collaboration was good in that respect, but he is very, he's strong on his ideas.
Now, when you said you cleared your plate, so does that mean that, because I know there's like probably a whole backlog of things that are coming your way, is it disappointing when there's things that you really want to do, but you just can't because you don't have
that's
time?
so interesting you say that, sis. Yes, there's a thing I want to do, and I've got all these other projects that I love, but I can't do that until I clear those projects. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm trying to, and not clear in a way of let me get these out of the way, but I want to do right by those projects so I can get to this other project.
Is it a dream project?
It's just my next film.
Okay.
You know, because I'm working a lot on TV. But you know, I believe in 5 years, film and TV will be the same thing. That's a very controversial thing out in Hollywood with the filmmakers.
What you mean?
It's the same thing. I mean, it's already we're going in a place where it's going to be. It's not going to be films in the theater and TV.
Do you think that's going to hurt the film industry? Because now you don't have to have theaters. You can go straight to the crib.
It is, and I'm not saying it's my preference. I'm saying it's happening. And there's people in my industry that don't want to face the fact that that's what's happening. So they want to fight against it, but they're just wasting time.
But you
Kind of
gotta
like
have to
streaming
spend-
music, you have to figure out how to adapt. And
Just adapt instead of trying to fight it because it's going to happen.
I hate adapt or die. I can't stand it. And by the way, it's like that in every industry.
Damn.
You got this old, no, but I don't mean die like literally, but you're going to die figuratively because you got these old guards who don't understand new technology.
It's unfortunate.
It's very sad.
The time we spend having conversations about what is a film and how do we say, we could be thinking about ways to, move it forward and progress it forward in a way that is helpful for everyone and profitable for everyone. But so much resistance to even thinking along those lines that I just think it's time being and energy being wasted.
But as a filmmaker, don't you want to see it a certain way?
Absolutely.
Because in a crib, you might not have the clarity of a television. You don't have the sounds,
I love
in a
all
movie
that.
theater, things come from all different angles that you're not going to have in the house that I'm sure you're a perfectionist when it comes to.
It's the dream for the filmmaker to be in the pristine cinema, but it also is true that that's really steeped in privilege. There's no movie theater in Compton where I grew up. I wasn't going to see it on the theater anyway. Like there's certain cinema deserts in our country that don't even have a movie theater. So when you talk about the prestige and the pristine nature of cinema, you're really talking about privileged spaces that even have movie theaters, right? You're leaving a whole bunch of people out. And so that's the point that when I make it to my white male counterparts who are very into the sanctity of the theater, I was like, the sanctity for the theater for the people who can get to the theater, right? If you're really about having your film seen, then you need to focus on where can it be widely seen as opposed to is the sound exactly right? Of course we want that. I was at a screening of this show last night and I'm checking sound and checking picture, but I also just want people to see it. I'm very satisfied if you watch it on your phone, you know what I mean? In the train station on the way to the thing. Is that my preferred? Hell no. But do I want you to see it? I want you to see it more than I care about the way that you see it.
That's so
And I
interesting.
think that's the question with a lot of filmmakers.
Because you've given us so much great art on so many different platforms. Streaming, when they see us, the 13th, Queen Sugar is on linear. It's just like you've given us so much great
Network
programming in
television.
different places.
Yeah, and you have to be able to watch in different places. I mean, it's painful to see someone watching something on the phone.
yeah.
It's like, do you know how hard we worked? You don't even understand. I mean, I'm on a mix stage. We mix the sound. We take weeks to mix the sound so you can hear it in the speaker. We take weeks to tweak the color. People watching it on janky TVs, and like just on their laptop. It's like, oh God, why did we even go through this trouble?
So have you ever thought to yourself, you like it, but you would love it if you saw it the way it was supposed to be?
I tell people all the time, if you could see it in the way it was meant to be seen, you have a different experience.
How do you get people excited to want to actually go to the theater? Because I feel like
That's
you
a
have
new
to
thing
curate.
now. I
some
mean, do
type
you
of-
guys, I think it's the film that's getting people excited to go to the theater. And it's the bigger films that
Yeah.
people want to see in the theater. So that's why the studios are now doubling down on the bigger films. But the smaller films, like the ones I make, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be in the theaters.
I
I'm
feel
still
like it has
kinda
to be like
nervous.
an experience, you
I'm
know?
still
Yeah,
kind
when-
of nervous for the theaters, though.
Have you been yet?
I haven't.
I have.
'Cause it doesn't feel. Matter of fact, I
I went to go
coming-
see Zola in the theater.
I don't
You
feel
did?
like
Yeah, I
they
did.
clean
That was a fun
the theaters.
experience.
Do they clean the theaters like that? You know
Okay,
what I
have
mean?
you flown?
I have flown.
It's
But you know what? They
You've
give
flown?
You wipes.
Are they
I
cleaning
carry
the
my
planes?
own wipes though, and
carry your wipes to the
But you
theater.
don't even put toilet paper when you sit down on the seat.
What?
How do you
What
know?
are we talking
What are
about?
you talking about? You?
Is this?
Like, what are we talking about?
I
you know
love
this for a
Concerned about-
fact?
He
No,
told
she
us
don't know this
that.
for no damn fact.
I love movie theaters.
Yeah, I
love
do
them.
too.
Have
I
you
love-
been?
I like the
I haven't
iPick
been.
theaters where
You haven't
can,
been back?
No, I
Have
haven't
you-
been.
You've
I
been
have.
back, and you
Look,
haven't.
You can lay back and you can order. Now you can order from your seat, get a drink, get some food. I think that's the experience because I see a lot of theaters are switching to like that, where it's more person. Like you have the
Yeah.
little two-seaters.
Yeah.
You guys can sit there and it's super comfortable. You can have a drink.
Wow, she's going to fancy theaters.
I am. Listen, when I go, I want it to be like
That's
that.
right. Yeah, that's right.
I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy that. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice experience.
Yeah.
Now, how important is your team to you? Because I feel like with all these projects that you have to have the right team. How did you manage to put that together?
Yeah, that's hard to find the right group of people. It just takes time, and then also it requires discernment that I haven't always had. Being able to discern what kind of people you want around you. It's not just the resume. It's not just what they've done. It's kind of their spirit and who they are. During COVID, we tripled in size at my company Array, and we hired people to work during that time in certain positions, but I never met them because we weren't meeting people. So I was meeting them through the computer, and they were cool on the computer. And these are all great people, still good people to this day, but there's some chemistry that happens with people when you meet them in person.
You gotta have that energy.
It's an energetic thing, right? And so I think teams are about energy, and And one thing I hate about teams, because I work with a lot of actors, I don't even know, this doesn't even match with it. I guess kind of, but everybody got a team. First of all, that word is kind of whack, right? I think it's kind of whack. But everybody's got a team. People say, talk to my team. I hate that. I want to thank my team. But anyway, in LA, there's this thing where people blame their team on bad behavior. Like they've done something. Like they don't want to do the thing. And they be like, oh, my team said I didn't want to do it, but I would have done it.
I was fine.
Like,
You
I
know
was
you
fine.
bullshit. Stop bullshit, bro.
An excuse.
I didn't even know.
Just say, my team didn't tell you. Your team didn't tell you? What did your team do? Did your team work for you or not work for you? They just push you around.
The worst is when the team denies it and then the person texts you later like, yo, I just want you to know it wasn't me, it was my team. Like, huh?
Right.
Aren't you the head? Don't you run things?
This is such a whack excuse, but it runs rampant in our industry. And I just want to say right now,
everybody, yep.
we all know.
It's you.
Like, just stop. We know it's you. It's you. When you say it, it's you.
So what should we call our people instead of team?
Oh, gosh. How about people that work with you?
Let's say their names.
Yeah.
Or say their names?
Yeah.
I'd be like, talk to Paris. She can set it up.
I just think we need to restate that thing. Team is just. I just think it's whack.
I also check like with my Paris who works with me. We just kind of we share the email, so I see everything that's going out, and I tell people like, yeah, I saw the email. Like I make sure that I see everything that's happening. So when she responds, I see it, or if she doesn't respond fast enough, or if I see somebody who I know and I'm like, I definitely want to do that. So just make sure it happens.
Right.
I just make
That's
sure
a
I
lot of
communicate.
emails.
That's too much
It
time.
is.
I ain't got that much time.
That's a lot
But
of
I catch
emails.
up, like if I'm on the flight, I might be like, okay, let me just look through, some things that I feel like I look at the subject, and that's how you could really tell. That's
Oh,
why
you're
that
super
subject.
organized.
I can't help it. Some people might think I'm too controlling.
Okay. My lawyer, Nina Shaw, was telling me her system. Basically, she has all the emails put into a document at the end of the day. So they go to her assistants because she represents everybody black in Hollywood, basically. And they go through all the emails. So she's not copied on it, right? But they give her a brief on all the emails. So her document has like 200 emails, but it's all been aligned.
Wow.
Charlamagne called. He wants this or whatever.
That's great.
Which I have.
And then it's, right? And then,
Salute to Nina.
and does she handle you too? Well, then there you go. So I was like, how do you keep all of us going and make you feel like, she's talking to you. She's the kind of person that she'd be talking to you and be like, I'm the only person in the whole world. That's a talent.
Yeah,
Wow.
That is a talent.
No, you're right.
And so there's this document where it has all her lines, and they prioritize it by color. Charlamagne was really upset, so he's in red. and you know what I mean? And then it goes down by color. Isn't that interesting? She got 2 assistants that work on that all day. Emails come in, they put it in a document, they color code.
Wow.
That's organization.
You know what I would love to talk about, because I don't think you get enough credit for this, the database that you created through Array.
Array crew.
To help, people find black people for certain positions in Hollywood.
Black and brown
Black and
and
brown,
women
yep, and
and
women.
even older people who get phased out of our industry because they might, when I say older, it's like 60, you can still work. In our industry, that's considered old. So, it's a database. It's a super simple idea, but people would always say, oh, we can't find a black grip, or we can't find a black or brown camera operator. I was like, I know a ton of them. I'm going to put them all in one database because I hire them all the time,
Right.
but people say they can't find them. So we have thousands of people in this database. Every single studio now is subscribed to it, and they use it. People are getting hired off that thing every day.
Yeah, my showrunner from my talk show, Rachel Edwards, she swears by it.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she
Oh,
hired
I
like
love it.
3 people off.
Oh, that's good.
And looking for somebody else for a position now.
That's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
We need more people in the database. So if you're out there and you do something that you've ever had, all you need is 1 credit to get in, right? So if you've done something on a set, or if you've worked on a set, go to Array Crew and sign up, get a job.
Where do you see Colin after this show?
Where do I see him? He has a lot of things planned. I don't know what he's doing. He's got his book publishing thing. He's got documentaries. He's got the deal with ESPN. I think that I hope that he moves more and more into that space, that storytelling space.
Right.
Because whether it's producing or whether it's, when I was directing him, because he actually is he's a narrator of this, so he's on camera. He was actually really good at taking direction, and said that he might be interested in doing some more of it. And I was like acting? He said, yeah. I could see him like a black John Wick type. Like a
Okay.
strong, silent, I come with the gun and I do the thing. But it's for justice, of course.
Yeah.
Right? It's for justice. But or doing some kind of action thing along those lines. I don't know, but the world is his oyster. It's up to him. He's still working out. He's still trying to
He still
be
wants
prepared.
to get back in the league, yeah.
That's not my wish for him.
Me neither.
It's not my wish for him. I don't want him to go back into an unhealthy, racist environment.
Same.
People, I don't want that for him, but you have to support your friends, and that's what he wants to, he still has that in his heart.
That's
What
he
about
wants.
like the Super
He
Bowl?
loved it. He loved that sport.
He
I
loves
mean,
it, yeah.
imagine the
He's
thing
been
if you
doing it
love
since like probably 5 years
Yeah,
old.
that's his life.
All he knows.
fighting for it. When you see this series, you see how much he fought. He was a 3-sport athlete: football, baseball, and basketball. His best sport was baseball. He was being recruited into the major leagues out of high school. No one said play football.
But he had a love for football.
He had a love for football. He had no prospects. In the last 2 episodes of this thing, you see, I didn't even know this about him, how hard he worked to just get that football scholarship. It was the only one he got. He had one football offer. That's how he.
And that's the reason why he wants to play so much, because he's been doing it since
He's
5.
been
He had to
doing it
fight
and fight.
his
He had to
ass off
fight
from-
for it. So
yeah.
imagine the one thing you love, whatever it is you love. You love to sew. You love to music. You love to bike. I love to make films. And they said you can't do it anymore.
This
You
all
cannot
kinda-
do the one thing you love anymore. It's our choice, and we are dictating. No, you can't do it.
You
Well,
think
he
it
has
would
to go
change?
guys too.
Oh, well, you think it'll change the narrative of him? The people who may not.
I don't think it's going to change the minds of people
Okay.
who don't like him, because if you
Gotcha.
don't like him, then that's an irrational thing based on things that we can't solve.
Some people are just determined to not like you no matter what.
No matter what. But I think for folks that that might be interested or might be open to knowing more, there's a lot there to understand. And he's a fascinating guy. He's a singular American individual. No one has quite done what Tommy Smith, he stands on his shoulders. But in terms of what he had, in terms of the money, the fame, the power, the vision, the cultural echoes that have continued to reverberate 6 years later. Like he's in a space that no one's occupied for a long time in our country, and it deserves a deeper look. And that's what we did.
I was going to ask, as a director, right? We've seen what happened with Alec Baldwin. Is there checks and balances to make sure things like that don't happen in movies, whether it's accidents, shootings, or anything with stuntmen? Is there checks and balances?
Absolutely. That's why that was so startling. I mean, it's hard to even talk about. I haven't talked about it publicly, but for people who are on sets, and I'm on set often, maybe 70% of my year is on a set, and you're around that crew, and everybody's working, and every day you get to know the crew and love the crew, and you're all working towards a goal. Everyone is having each other's back and protecting each other. When there's a gun, we haven't had live guns on our sets. The last time we had a real gun on a set was Selma. That was a set I didn't control, because at that time I had no power to produce. I wasn't a producer on it. And it was safe, 3 armorers, and everything was done according to code. But the reason why I don't have guns on my set is because during Selma, the proper protocol was done. The director has to check the gun, right?
Ugh.
And so the armorer has it, first AD has it, first assistant director, everybody looks at it, and they bring it over to me to look at. And I remember looking at it and it's like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
That's what I'm saying. What if you don't know nothing about guns?
I said, I don't, and in that moment I said, I don't know what I'm looking at. I can't keep this crew safe. I don't know what I'm looking at. I had to depend on other people to tell me, Ava, it's safe. And I don't depend on stuff like that. I said never again. Either I'm going to learn about guns, which I'm not, or we're not going to have guns. So now anything that I've done, when they see anything that I've done, they're fake guns that look like
Right, you
real.
don't have to
It
have-
does not have a real chamber or any mechanism in it. You can have a gun that's actually looks like a gun on the outside and has no
Nothing
mechanism
inside,
on the
right.
inside. Not even for a blank. There's no reason to do it. So that's why that is so maddening and heartbreaking. I could cry right now that this woman literally shot in the stomach in a rehearsal.
Damn.
In a rehearsal for people who fail to do the job that keeps each other safe. And I'm not even, sugarcoating the fact. People were wrong, unprofessional. That should have never happened. Multiple people on that set. I mean, that was just flagrant, ignorant behavior.
So-
It's astounding. It angers you. And I think it's going to change our industry, because the crews are now going to be like, we don't want it. Right? And directors are going to say, we don't want it.
Right.
And it has to be that way. It has to change.
You got me wondering, based off what you said, did she have to check the gun that ultimately killed her?
She's a director of photography.
Oh,
the
okay,
director.
got you.
The director, me, the me of the
Okay,
set,
got you.
should check the gun.
Got you.
Wow.
And
Damn.
but that director was shot. Director on that was shot, and the DP was shot. So I don't know what was happening. All I know is unfathomable. I mean, it's just heartbreak. But yes, I'm just saying people should know. There hasn't been a shooting death on a set since Brandon Lee. That's 2 decades ago. Do you know how much film and TV is made around the world? That's how safe we are. Like, one of the safest places to be in the world is a film set, whether it's for COVID, whether it's for anything going on. Because a film set, let me just say this, is like a small town. A film set, there's a mayor, that would be me, right? There's a hospital, that would be the medic. There's a gardener, that would be the greensman. There's a restaurant, that's crafty. Like, there is someone that does, there's a mechanic.
Right.
There's literally you carry the little community with you wherever you shoot, and everyone's looking out for each other, and it is very safe. So when people hear that happened, that is not us. That's not our industry. That's not what we. That's not the way we move.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We really
Queen
appreciate
Ava
it.
DuVernay.
I'm really looking
Always
forward.
a pleasure.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate
Colin
it.
in black and white.
Yay, Colin, black and white.
All right. Well, it's Ava DuVernay. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.